If you like this video, why not subscribe? Okay, right off the bat I want to say that I think your title is just as important as anything else in your movie. It's got to be a good title, it's got to be something catchy, something that means something to the whole project. I like this one because it has a double meaning. Temp Insanity referring to temporary insanity, as well as temp as a temporary worker. The font is also important, the way it looks, first thing you see. This is the Ghostwriter font. I like the secretary/horror motif. I got it from 1001fonts.com. I'll leave a link in the description if you want it. But it's called the Ghostwriter font, and I thought it fit perfectly. And here's our opening shot. This is actually the original version with no edits. This was the 8th take of our curved track dolly shot. We were shooting actress Bree Baker right here. She played the part of Eve. And as we go around her, it actually looks pretty good. It was pretty smooth. She does a good job, and then we end up on the boss's doorway where Hannah Colwell, playing Dominique, emerges. And even though I like the shot, I didn't think it had enough energy to it. I wanted it to be more confusing or more erratic or make her a little more crazily busy. So I went back and I cut it together. Something I learned from Robert Rodriguez is that you could always use things you may think are originally not useful. So I went back and we had 7 other takes, and I integrated them into this opening shot, which ends exactly the same way.
What the hell is this?
Here's our first exchange between boss and employee, and I wanted to have this right off the top to establish how mean the Dominique character is, since her name is also means dominant. I love the way that Hannah delivers the font of the lazy line. And some people have pointed out to me, why does the character of Eve have to reform or retype anything? This is 2012. Couldn't she just reformat it on her computer? And that's true, but it's also a cue, one of the first cue right off the bat, that this is a surreal world and not a real one. And you actually see a typewriter in the opening tracking shot, but not a computer. This is my only pickup shot of the whole movie. I needed a bridge between the outer office and the inner office scene because it just wasn't working with what I had. So I took this clock and I hung it in an edit bay and I photographed it. Now, if you're wondering how I got this clock to act this way, this is actually my bathroom clock, and when the battery runs low, this is how it behaves. So I thought it'd be perfect for the feel of the piece, kind of indicating how it's the shift that never ends. And it also adds another surreal cue. And here we are in the bathroom, the hardest scene to shoot. Because of all the mirrors, it was very difficult to light. Notice right off the bat here, I get away with a jump cut. Time passes, but I don't match cut, I jump cut, and it's not that jarring, it just is believable, like a little time had passed. I had a hard time figuring out how I was going to do this. It took me a while, and this is what I came up with. Probably wasn't the greatest solution, but it worked okay. Notice, I want to throw something in here that this is the original cut of Bree's face, and notice that at the end she doesn't smile with any teeth. And I didn't think it was sinister enough, so I asked her to do it again, and this time show teeth. And I thought it was much creepier and much more Joker-ish, which is what the script called for. Okay, so now we go to probably the best joke in the short, is where Bree reaches under her desk after fiddling with a letter opener, goes to her boss's office, and fills her full of lead. So this is a practical effect. Nothing you see here was added in post. And you've got a bunch of guys, including me, in the other room. I'm laying on the floor with a thread going to that picture. Jared Beck is throwing the papers, and Danny Bradfield is turning on a strobe light, all at the right time. But of course, getting all those things to work together can be tricky. She's got to sling the gun over her shoulder like she knows what she's doing. The papers have to fly right. The light has to come out at the right time. See, that take, the papers did not fly right. Jared failed, so we had to do it again. And finally, we got a good one where she slings the rifle just right, racks the slide, puts the barrel of the gun past the doorway, which she struggled with a few times, and it all worked. So that's the take that we used. Unfortunately, I didn't have any usable audio for the first part of this sequence, so I had to Foley everything until she gets to the doorway, which hopefully I did an acceptable job. But what sells this, of course, is the sound effects. When she gets to the door and pulls the trigger, everything works together. And finally we come to the punchline where Eve, our temp worker, gets revenge on her boss by the old spider in the coffee trick. And yes, she does look tiny in this shot, but there is supposed to be a power reversal. Eve is now the tallest and most dominant, and Hannah is the one that's being played. And that spider trick was developed by Dustin Barnes. Here he is with a rubber spider. I picked one up for 50 cents. And we took some fishing weights, filled them, or put them inside of a latex glove finger, stuffed them into the spider, and then Dustin put a piece of thin filament or fishing line from the rear end of the spider so that we could put it inside the cup, hand it to the actor, and then at the right time the actor would release the spider, causing the spider to sink into the coffee, which was actually chocolate milk. And here's Hannah with the whole setup. If you're wondering how we got the spider to actually pop up, well, we simply just ran the footage backwards. But as a result, we had to make sure that she did not blink or smile or do anything that was going to look peculiar when we ran it backwards. So we had to do it a few times to get it right, but finally we got a good take, and nothing happened on her face, so we knew that it would work. And it did. Pretty cool effect. I just want to thank everyone who worked on this. Making movies is hard work, and you can't do it in a vacuum. You need help. And I had a lot of it. My cast and crew were great. Really appreciate the actresses and their hard work. And the crew worked hard, did a great job. Everyone came together. And we were up late till about 2 in the morning doing this, so I'm very grateful for everyone's efforts. I think it turned out well, and I hope you liked this making of Temp Insanity.